Another Western nation has decided to rebuke Israel as Italy decides it will no longer send arms exports over to Israel. So the dominoes keep falling here for the nation of Israel, to which I have to say, when I first came across this story, it was kind of hard to find the reporting on it from more American outlets, Western outlets. I kind of had to dig a little bit deeper here. But we'll put this up on the screen really quickly here. This is from JNS. They have our cover sheet here saying that the Prime Minister of Italy is telling lawmakers at the European Council Summit in Brussels that we have blocked everything. Quote, Italy is imposing a full arms embargo over Israel over the Gaza ground operation. So we'll put this up there now. This is actually from the Middle East Monitor. This is according to the Italian news agency ANSA. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni revealed on Tuesday during a debate at the Italian Senate that following Israel's invasion of Gaza in October of last year, quote, the government immediately suspended all new export licenses and all agreements signed after October 7th were not implemented, end quote, stating that the authorization of arms export licenses are being, quote, analyzed on a case-by-case basis by the competent authority at the foreign ministry, end quote. Again, the Italian premier declared that we have blocked everything. Now, this is huge news. Again, we have seen other countries kind of do something similar in the past. You've seen previous videos from us where we talked about France blocking arm exports over to Italy or over to Israel, excuse me. And then when Germany as well, there was reporting coming out of there that they were considering doing this as well. But the UK has put certain limits on them. Canada has put certain limits on them. The US threatened to put limits on them, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in another video because I'm a little bit skeptical about the US's claims that they're actually going to do anything like that. But again, it just feels like this is almost just like there's a lot of momentum building against them right now. It's one thing for nations around the world to kind of speak out against Israel because that's not too unheard of, but to see these countries in Europe come out so just demonstratively, it's incredibly, I think it's incredibly stark warning for Israel that if they continue to go down this path, that things might get worse and worse for them on the global scale. So we see here, this actually, we'll put this back up on here on the screen. This is from the Prime Minister again. She's acknowledging that her policies from her government are going to be much more restrictive than that applied by the partners of France, Germany, United Kingdom. Yeah, let's actually go into that here a little bit because Germany and the UK were saying that their things that they were going to restrict were just like a few different permits here and there, like maybe like some arms we won't send to you, but we'll still send you other arms. France had said that they would send only defensive weaponry, but nothing that could be considered offensive weaponry. Italy is saying that they are going to stop everything, like all defensive, all offensive, literally everything. They are cutting off everything. So why is this happening now? Well, if we go back to the Middle Eastern Monitor, we go back to that article, we'll put this up on the screen now. It says the primary cause for Italy's reported embargo and Meloni's open declaration of of it is Israel's recent attack on peacekeepers in the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, to which Italy is the largest contributor of troops. And that makes perfect sense, right? For those who are unfamiliar, the UN has sent peacekeepers to Lebanon in order to kind of just keep track of everything that's going on over there, as well as trying to act as like a deterrence to keep Israel from, attacking Lebanon as much as humanly possible, to which it doesn't seem like it matters whatsoever as Israel continued to bomb Beirut and bomb many just civilian areas in southern Lebanon. In fact, they're even shooting rounds and antagonizing the members of the UN's peacekeeping forces, to which Israel asked them to withdraw. They chose not to. Here's something actually from the UNIFL. I'll put this up on the screen really quickly here, where they talk about how just earlier in the day, an IDF bulldozer deliberately demolished an observation tower and a perimeter fence of a UN position. And they got to go into detail about exactly what the IDF has been doing and what they've been asking the IDF not to do. Look, I mean, Israel here has been a really antagonistic force. And of course, the Prime Minister of Italy, who has a considerable amount of ground troops as a part of this deterrence force, as part of these peacekeepers, is going to be critically upset about that. I mean, what nation would not be upset about that? If you send people on a peacekeeping mission to another nation, and then you find out that a nation that's supposed to be an ally of yours is shooting like ammunition at them, is, putting them in harm's way, of course you're going to want to retaliate on some level. You want to make some kind of a statement, show that you have the backs of your citizens who are over there. So, and we'll put this up on the screen now. This again from Middle Eastern Monitor says the Italian prime minister condemned these attacks at the Senate, stating that even if there have been no casualties or extensive damage, I think that Israel's attack on UNIFIL cannot be considered acceptable. We are seeing more and more countries come out in several different ways against Israel right now, whether it's countries like Nicaragua, who recently said that it was cutting all diplomatic ties with Israel, or whether it is nations like Spain and Ireland who have openly called for the ending of trade with Israel and asked other European nations to do so as well. France, the UK, Germany, Israel, Italy. I don't know why I keep getting these two mixed up. Italy coming out and saying that they need to end all kinds of weapon sales over to Israel. I mean, and again, as we covered on this channel about a month ago, when the UN as a whole overwhelmingly voted saying that Israel needed to withdraw from all Palestinian land. And we saw this was like over 140 nations that voted in favor of this, many of those nations also in Europe. So, I mean, the world as a whole is condemning Israel in a way that we've never really seen before. And I think that if they're not careful, they are going to become a pariah state, in the world as they continue to. And again, the reasons why this is happening is because of their unprecedented attacks on civilians in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Lebanon. This is about the civilian casualties that we are seeing, the suffering that we are seeing, the collective punishment that we are seeing, the ICJ calling what they're doing a genocide. We are seeing them using banned substances like white phosphorus in Gaza, in Lebanon. There are so many atrocities being committed by Israel, and they're just pretending like none of it's happening. And if they do get overwhelmingly caught, they just find different ways to justify it by saying that any of their targets are Hamas, obviously, or are Hezbollah, obviously. They'll just say it, and then everyone's supposed to just go along with it, providing no proof whatsoever. So I think that the tide really is turning against Israel. I'm not sure what happens next, but it would not surprise me if we see more nations come out and decide that they are going to break ties, whether that be selling products to Israel like arms and ammunition, or whether it's trade agreements, or if it's diplomatic ties altogether. It feels like this is just another domino in the many dominoes that seem to be falling against them right now. Thank you for watching this video of independent thought. If you liked the conversation, please go ahead and give the video itself a like, and be sure to subscribe for future episodes on the channel.